Soul starts right now.
Getting ready to leave? Okay, please, can you leave ASAP? What is the issue?
Karen Bass is a liar. Karen Bass is a liar. She has to operate. No. Karen Bass is a liar. Karen Bass is a liar. She knows the Olympics. No, the Olympics are coming in 2028. She has to comply with that. Karen Bass is a liar.
What's the time frame?
Come down. Please. Let's start walking to the car. You have better.
Okay, so I am going to say.
Sorry. Mayor Bass, I need to get my phone. We're departing.
Thank you, Mayor Bass.
Mayor Bass. Any comment, Mayor Bass?
Thank you.
Mayor Bass, any comment?
Yes, my comment is they need to leave, and they need to leave right now. They need to leave because this is unacceptable.
You can't have this.
In this round, here's Charles Big Angry Adams.
All right, so that was Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass on Monday, July 7th. She was en route to a press conference when she was informed about an ICE immigration enforcement action at MacArthur Park. It was being described as a park in a largely mixed race or person of color, Latino part of town. She made comments that day about children playing in the park. She ordered the Border Patrol to stop all actions and leave, and used a lot of language demonizing them. And of course, there are a lot of people in the Los Angeles community and in America generally that are antagonistic to the enforcement of immigration laws, whereas there are also a lot of Americans that support us having a strong border and people not being allowed to remain in this country who entered unlawfully, right? And it's a very big divide, and it's what many Americans attribute to as the reason for the election of Donald Trump, although some people even on the right are saying that he's going too far by targeting people that haven't broken any laws other than the mechanism of their entry. But here's the deal. First of all, MacArthur Park, I've been there in recent years, and I've seen a lot of posts of videos recently about the rampant drug use, the unhoused population that has taken it over. And it's not really a place where like it used to be, where it was focused on children playing, although it is still very much a park. This is video of the enforcement action, right? And it seems very performative. You brought horses out. It's like, why? Why would our Border Patrol need to be on horses? But it almost seems like there is an intentional effort to antagonize the liberal city government in Los Angeles by the federal government. But Border Patrol Chief Bovino was quoted as saying, basically, I don't report to Karen Bass, which is true under the separate sovereign and the supremacy of the federal government over local and state governments, that in fact they don't on the issue of immigration. And this just seems to be more effort to polarize America on this immigration issue. It seems performative on both sides. And it seems just about, in my opinion, kind of stupid.
To not go after people who are hardworking citizens in this country, that they will only go after those who were felons, who were criminals, and who were dangerous and on the streets of America illegally. Charles, what they're doing is in a public park. I played as a child in that same park as a child, Charles. Born and raised in Los Angeles. I was there with my auntie on several occasions. So a lot of people in the area are very familiar with the park, Charles. To have immigration ICE agents along with military support backup and men on horses going after quote unquote illegals in a park is not what many people voted Donald Trump in to do. Many people voted to do their best to have somebody finally come in office to address the immigration problem. He's done that, but he made promises that did not keep, and he broke promises. I don't think they should be in public parks like that, Charles. You got children playing in those parks. You have some who are too afraid to go to the park because those parks have been high crime areas in the inner city of LA for a long time. But nevertheless, we're talking about children in parks. I don't see the justification in the middle of the day, in broad open daylight, targeting parks to pick up immigrants, especially jumping out with masks on and military clothing, military style weapons in front of children. I just don't think that's what the American people voted him in office to do.
I mean, you bring up the mask issue, and that's become an incredible talking point in America, especially on the far left, criticizing law enforcement officers and Border Patrol agents for wearing masks to obscure their identity. And yet we're pretending as if there hasn't been a wide scale effort on the left, especially by some of the very brilliant tech minds on the left, to create databases and websites that are putting Border Patrol agents in danger by tracking their movements, by doxing their personal information and their families, by doing everything they can to expose them to harm, much like we saw the left doing when they, after the after the abortion decision that led to a man showing up at a justice's house with a gun and people protesting, even people like Chuck Schumer applauding it, protesting immediately in front of the personal residences of federal judges. It seems like we've reached this kind of no holds barred part where there is this almost cheering on and antagonism of targeted violence to public officials, which I personally think is awful. However, I agree. And as I said earlier, I think this is just performative nonsense. And I think it's the Trump administration, which is odd because I've heard so many stories from you, Quanell. I've heard from you, no one is illegal on stolen land, which is just also just, silly and nonsense.
It's silly.
So
Arizona,
but
California,
all
Texas
the flipped way,
was not
Mexico
stolen.
only
Mexican,
owned Arizona and
that's
California in Texas, but for a
California,
little bit, right?
Texas, Arizona
30 years?
was stole from the Mexicans. So how can they be
Do
illegal
you mean the
when they're only coming back
Spaniards
to
or
their
the
own
indigenous
land?
people? Because Mexico only had it for a pretty abbreviated amount
Charles,
of
it
time.
doesn't
That
matter.
would
It was
require you
stolen from their
opening a
people.
history book, which I know
So they're undocumented, but they're not illegal. They're undocumented, but not illegal.
It is a crime to enter this country illegally, and the proper term is.
Well, then white folks should have never came.
Okay, I get it, right? I get you believe that
What do you
skin
mean what
color is the only
facts.
matter, right? And that everything would be
White folks were not invited.
but for the
You
existence
were
of
treated
white
as
people.
guests.
Except reality is that the Western civilization there's a reason why people of all ethnicities and races fight to get here. And I personally have long supported
Black people didn't fight to get here.
a reformed
We didn't fight to get here.
immigration system that allowed
We were dragged here, forced to come. We didn't fight to get here.
you just said you're born
Black
and raised
people,
in Los Angeles. Stop
black
lying to
people,
right?
Black people were
Yes,
dragged
yes,
and forced
I
to
get
come here.
I get
We
it.
didn't
So
volunteer to come here.
whining, engaging in your performative woe is
No,
me nonsense.
We didn't
right?
volunteer to come.
Because it's just so tough for you. But the truth is that throughout human history, right? You don't support borders, and yet you're constantly talking
So
about
I support
being
borders, but I
land.
support humanitarian borders. I
But here-
support compassionate borders. I support borders with respect of human life. You don't take military men and put them in a damn park going after
I
illegals. You
agree.
don't take ICE agents in military uniforms going into schools,
That's
going
what
into
we're
nurseries and
talking
daycares.
I agree, right? In fact, the thing is that our government let people come here illegally for years because the people that pay our politicians wanted more consumers and they wanted more cheap labor, right? And now the Biden administration allowed it to become such an epic problem when you couple that with criminal justice, non-reform, pretend reform, that is just abandonment of law-abiding people of color. And we've had this incredible rash of crime in places like MacArthur Park because of policies like the ones Bass has implemented, and the stand down. And of course, we have the snapback, of course, is Trump's Border Patrol. But the truth is, we need a strong but fluid border. We need an easier process for people to legally come to this country, right, as opposed to illegally. And of course, we also don't need to allow our public health systems, our entitlement programs, and all things that are designed for U.S. citizens to be overwhelmed by by illegals coming here to take advantage of them.
Do you support 7, 8, and 5-year-old children going to federal immigration courts in zip ties?
Absolutely
You
not.
got 7, 5-year-olds going to federal court hearings, immigration hearings in zip ties.
No one disagrees with you about, right? What I disagree
Man,
with you
that would
about
piss anybody
is
off.
nonsense, right? When you talk about it, one, you were full on the Trump train in November, so this is
That's
so
a lie.
weird, right?
That's a lie you like to
Go back and
tell.
watch the shows, y'all.
That's
right?
a lie you like to tell.
Here we are, and now you're back to, which was you 3 or 4 years ago. You know, it's all stolen land.
That's a lie you like to tell.
I love it when you say you were dragged here. You weren't dragged anywhere. You drove up in a
Our
Mercedes.
people were dragged here. Our people were dragged here. We didn't come voluntarily. But I see that you don't want to address the Trump administration taking 7, 8, and 5-year-old kids to court in zip ties with no damn lawyers. Without a single lawyer.
Like 2 months ago, and I said it was disgusting and horrendous. There's absolutely no reason to handcuff a child, right? Unless that child has just committed a horribly violent crime, which most courts don't even have jurisdiction over a 5 and 7-year-old, right? You're gonna see children that enter illegally with other people, or the sad thing is the number of them been sent across the border alone who are getting sexually assaulted and abused by the evil narco-terrorist cartels that have just become a human trafficking machine, right? But no one disagrees that it's disgusting to zip tie or handcuff children, right? But at the end of the day, we need a happy medium. We don't need your performative, oh, nobody's illegal on stolen land nonsense, but we also don't need the Gestapo jackbooted nonsense that the Trump administration was engaging in MacArthur Park. But at the end of the day, Karen Bass, Mayor Bass, has a job to do, right? And going and pitching a tantrum instead of seeking to get an injunction in district court or doing something substantive is just her trying to get attention.
That's irrelevant.
No damn reason.
But the Trump administration has already said, and the director of ICE, that they don't have to respect no court decision of renegade judges. These state judges are federal judges. They've already said any judge that gives any ruling against the Trump administration's policies, they don't have to respect it. So why in the hell would she go to a court that the current administration has told its subordinates not to respect?
So what she's doing is just like Ted Cruz coming back from his European vacation to go to Kerrville and engage in camera hogging, attention seeking nonsense instead of addressing the emergency management problems that we have in this country. It's just being a camera hog to get attention to boost their political career. Karen Bass is a longtime America hater, right? She simply is. You look at all her trips to Cuba, all her ties to radicalism, right? This was just trying to ingratiate herself to a voter base instead of actually addressing a problem. And that's what's wrong with the Democrats.
But what's wrong
with of course, rich Republicans aren't even worried about the problems, right?
But what's wrong with her going to Cuba?
No border nonsense, right? We need to have rules. We need to make it easier for poor people that want to come to this country and work their butts off to grasp at the brass ring of Americanism to be allowed to do so lawfully, right? But we also need to have a rule. And because who really suffers, right? If you look at the immigration, right, and how easy it is to come through our country from Central and South America, before the Biden administration just threw open the floodgates, you had people from Jamaica, Afro-Caribbeans from Jamaica, who don't have the ability to walk over to this country, who have to go through a terrible process to get in this country, a culture in Jamaica of some of the most hardworking people that you could ever imagine being around, who are repeatedly denied visas and the ability to come in, right? Who suffer because of not having a reformed system that allows people to do it lawfully. And that's what we need to do. Now, Stephen Miller and the Donald Trump administration, it is jackbooted Gestapo nonsense. I mean, running around on horses. It's ridiculous, right? But it's equally ridiculous for Karen Bass to go there and throw an inconsequential tantrum, right? We need the parties actually
What's the
accomplish this
solution,
stuff.
Charles? Because I noticed that you're saying a lot of this, but you're not giving a real solution. What is the
Yeah,
solution?
no, you're the one that doesn't give solutions. I'm saying
So what's the
reform and streamline the process for people that want to come to this country to lawfully be here. And once they're lawfully here, if they're not
What
supporting
speak to
themselves
the
and are
problem
draining
that the
out of the
voters
system
voted
and
on?
committing
But
crimes,
that doesn't
tell
speak
them
to
to
the
go
problem
on.
voted about. The voters voted about the people that are illegally here, that's been living here, some of them for decades and generations.
How
That's
do you
what
know
voters
what,
are
if you're
about,
not the
not
Trump supporter
streamlining
that
a
I believe that
process.
you were, how do you know what Trump supporters voted for? It's
They voted for
incredibly
illegals that
popular.
are here,
The
Charles.
immigration efforts, echo through the leftist media, and in big cities, there's a lot of people upset about it, but a lot of Americans absolutely support it. So how do you know who you're talking for? I am advocating for reasonable policies that allow people that have come here unlawfully but have been here for years and haven't committed any crimes and are paying taxes and supporting themselves. Absolutely, we need a pathway to citizenship for them. And we also need a
That's not what
pathway for
Trump's
people
doing.
entering lawfully.
But
What we
that's not what
don't
Trump's
need
doing.
is what the Obama administration did or the Biden administration did, which was just facilitate a bunch of fake asylum claims, place people in areas that they seek to absolutely change voting demographics, which they have accomplished. You look at Ilhan Omar, right, and communities in Minneapolis. And instead, we need people that are going to come to this country, that are going to provide for themselves, that aren't going to put a drain on our system. And we need poor people to be able to do it
Charles,
in a much easier
majority,
manner.
Charles, and over 90% of all immigrants that come in to this country, especially from Latino countries, they're not criminals. They're not committing crime.
No, it's actually much higher than 90%.
And
And in
some,
fact, before the influx of people from Venezuela, the
Charles,
gangs from Central and South America,
so
because
why
of
is
the
the Trump
Biden administration
administration
policies, it was even a
all
higher
of them?
number.
But the Trump administration is targeting all of them because he knows that's what his base want. And that's why there's no outcry from his base when you see children in court 5 and 7 years age,
I
zip
think there are
ties
a lot
with
of
no-
reasonable people
in a
that were
immigrant-
upset about it. You keep
There's no
bringing it up
outcry,
as if I
but they don't
wasn't.
care about that.
I think you're speaking holistically about a diverse group of people, and I think there are plenty of people that find that to be ridiculous. But also, like, during the Trump first administration, the media put a bunch of videos that turned out to be from the Obama administration, right, about people locked up and children locked up and separated from the families, and
I
then
agree.
from the Obama administration, and then you had people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez taking herself down to the border, engaging in this fake fence crying nonsense, right? Which also didn't fix anything. People, they're separating families. If you, as an American citizen, if you get arrested for committing a crime, right, you will, in fact, get separated from your family. That is a reality. And it's the same thing for the people that come to this country and commit crimes and then get deported. And then we listen to this absolute awful nonsense from the left. It's just, oh, they've got family here. It's going to hurt other people. Well, when a citizen commits a crime and they get locked up, it hurts their family too. But we have to have rules and we have to have consequences. And if you're a visitor to this country, whether lawfully or unlawfully, whether an asylee or not, and you commit a crime, right? You should get
Charles,
shit back from whence you
Charles,
came.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the recent video that came out just a week ago of a young toddler with a backpack on her back. Her father was stopped and mother was stopped in the middle of the street by ICE agents. They zip tied that little girl with a backpack on, a damn toddler, man.
I
What
didn't see
is
that
it
video, but that's which shocks me. But
that
yeah, that would be
outrageous
horrible.
people?
That's
That
outrageous.
outrageous people, Charles.
How many times do I have to say yes? That's outrageous,
And
right?
so why don't?
But here's
So
the
why
thing.
don't?
Let's
why
remove
don't
the
administration
zip
say?
tying issue, which is
But
disgusting.
listen, but it's an easy
more
fix.
importantly,
But it's an easy fix. All they gotta
something
say
a
is
lot of
don't do
people are
it.
ignoring, Quanell, is let's say Border Patrol pulls over a car. It's got a father and his kid in there, and the father has committed a robbery or a burglary or a violent crime or a rape, and he is getting detained pursuant to a deportation order, right? Well, that is a good thing. That is an appropriate thing. And that is going to lead to a child getting separated from our parents. As a police officer, I at times had to separate children from their parents. Now, what we would do, right, is we would try to find another adult guardian or family member. And if we couldn't, we would call CPS. But at no point would you handcuff a child, right? The only time you handcuff children is when they were caught committing crimes and you didn't have a choice. But even then, you don't have any criminal culpability until you're, older than the age of 9. So it's, yes, it's ridiculous.
So why don't he just fix it? Why don't they just send out a mandate? Unless that child is of a certain age and posing a threat, do not zip tie children. They can easily do that.
But you focus on that. And when I was trying to talk about actual solutions, which you ignore.
But that's a simple solution. Just say from the administration,
That's
don't
not a
do it.
solution. That's just to tell people not to be jerks. So that doesn't address any of the immigration issues this country is facing.
Well, on Fox Face Off, we tell the raw, unadulterated truth.
Fox Soul Face Off
We are given the platform here with no fear.
always comes out swinging.
We should be saying, hey, stop shooting and killing people.
Nothing held back.
They wanted black hip-hop moguls and artists to continue the feud.
No punches pulled.
And shut the hell up.
You
and
interrupt
let
me all the
speak to my
time.
people.
Tune into the show where opinions collide. Fox Soul Face Off. New episodes weeknights at 9 or stream anytime on Fox Soul. That's it for the Face Off on Fox Soul. We'll catch you next time.
Well, on Fox Face Off, we tell the raw, unadulterated truth.
Fox Soul Face Off
We are given the platform here with no fear.
always comes out swinging.
We should be saying, hey, stop shooting and killing people.
Nothing held back.
They wanted black hip-hop moguls and artists to continue the feud.
No punches pulled.
And shut the hell up.
You
and
interrupt
let
me all
speak
the
to my
time.
people.
Tune into the show where opinions collide. Fox Soul Face Off. New episodes weeknights at 9 or stream anytime on Fox Soul.